Hello everyone, my name is Thomas Cooper and I'm going to be walking through how to deploy IPsec policies through group policy objects within Windows Server 2008 in Active Directory. To start, we're going to go to our desktop on the server and go to Start, then Run, and we're going to create a new MMC console. So we just go to the Run prompt, type in MMC, hit Enter. Okay, so we're going to add a couple snap-ins to the fresh MMC. The first is going to be our main snap-in for configuring the group policies, called the Group Policy Management snap-in. I'm just going to add that real quick. Click OK. So we just got our one snap-in right now. Right now I have a domain set up on this machine. It is a domain controller for the domain cohovineyards.com, just as our example. So go to the forest that we've created, and under domains, our only domain, which is cohovineyards.com. So open that up, and as you can see, we already have an example GPO right there. So we're just going to delete that link and go down to the actual objects, delete that as well. Yes, okay, that GPO is deleted. Okay, so we have an example organizational unit, and this OU has a computer account for our Windows 2003 server. We have two machines running in our little network here, and that OU contains that server's computer account. So what we're going to want to do is you right click on the OU you want to apply your new GPO to, and we're going to click the option create GPO in this domain and link it here. So we're going to start with a brand new GPO object. We're going to call this one as well example IPsec. IPsec GPO. I click OK. So right now it is linked. It's not enforced, but it is linked to our organizational unit. So if we right click on the GPO itself, we can click edit. So we can actually edit that GPO. Okay, so where you would find the IPsec policies within the GPO is under Computer Configuration, under your Policies, Windows Settings, Security Settings, and under the IP Security Policies on Active Directory, and in brackets you can see cohovineyards.com, which is the domain that we're currently configuring. So we're going to open that. As you can see, we already have an example IPsec policy. Let's just go in here and see what it actually does and what it is. We have a GPO filter, GPO action. These are just generic names for the actual objects themselves. Nothing too specific. Okay, so if we go into the rule properties, and if you look, we have a GPO filter with a description of filter ICMP traffic. So let's open that up to see what that actually does. And all this does is it filters ICMP, Internet Control Message Protocol traffic, to use IPsec. And that's all it does, just for our example, which is ping traffic, trace route, anything that uses the ICMP protocol. So let's get out of there. That's just what the filter does. The filter action, which is the specific security methods used, if you go into the properties, which is you can access by the edit button after selecting the filter action. If you go to the properties of the action that we've configured, you can see here that we have a custom security method set up. Now we only have one set up because just for testing purposes. What you'd probably want to do is add a few more. Let's say your authentication header only supports MD5, so we have that as well. I'll turn on these two options as well. So that will be the next fallback, and it's going to give you a warning about MD5 because it is a weak algorithm. Okay, so that you can modify yourself. You can specify fallback security methods. Your first one's going to be the most secure, the most preferred, and the last one in the list is going to be the most least preferred. So that's just an example of that. Now we're going to check the box accept unsecured communication, but always respond with IPsec, because although some communication will be left out of the filter, especially since we're only using ICMP for the filter, but we're always going to want to respond with IPsec. So we're not going to want to let security. Oh, and I also forgot to mention that we want to negotiate security with this action. We don't want to block the traffic, and we don't want to just permit it. We want it to force it to use IPsec. Okay, so click apply and or OK. Get out of that right there. Next is the authentication methods, and this is used to specify what IPsec ICKMP is using to authenticate to peers. Right now we're just going to use a certification authority, or CA, and this is installed on this machine right here. As you can see, if you go in here, common name, which is coho-ca, which is the Coho Vineyards CA, and we also check the option exclude the CA name from the certificate request. This is so that no sensitive information such as the CA name is sent out, so that any malicious users can't use it on your network. Okay, so we're going to get out of those properties. You already see that the policy is configured, and we're going to right click and assign this policy so that when we apply this GPO, any computer, any user account that is actually within that OU will have that IPsec policy already assigned. It won't just be sitting there. Okay, so now that we've edited the GPO to use that IPsec policy, we're going to want to enforce it on that OU, obviously. So if you just right click on your GPO and click enforced, yes, it's going to warn you if you want to change it to an enforced settings, and we want to, so we click OK. So now the GPO is linked to our example OU, and it is enforced on our example OU. And let's just get out of there for 1 second and quickly add the Active Directory users and computers, just to give you an idea of what is actually within that OU. So open that, open our cohovineyards.com domain, and our example OU, which contains win 2K3-server computer account. And this is the computer account of the opposing server. Now, we are going to go over to the Windows 2003 server. I will just quickly log in. Okay. Log in as the administrator. Okay, so I will just close down this MFC for now. Because we've modified the group policy, what you're going to want to do is open up your command prompt, either through the run prompt or through a shortcut that you've already configured. Normally there's a shortcut on your start menu in Windows Server. So you want to open up your command prompt, and because we've changed the group policy on this organization unit, which contains this machine account, we're going to want to go type in the command gp update space/force. As you can see, it refreshed the policy that is configured. So now, if we open up this IPsec MMC, which I've created, which also has the IP security monitor and IP security policies management snap-ins, and let's see what the active policy actually is. And there you go. As you can see, the policy name that's actually assigned is the example GPO policy. We can see that it's applied to the example OU organizational unit, which this machine contains. And yeah, just jump over to main mode, specific filters, filter any ICMP traffic, exactly what we configured within the GPO on our Windows 2008 server. Now another interesting thing with GPOs is that if you try to assign local IP security policies, like what we'll do right now, let's just as an example, right click, go to assign. Oh, hello, we have a message saying that even though that the policy is assigned, it is being overridden by Active Directory assigned policy, as you can see right there. So that also gives you an indicator of how the hierarchy of policies are applied. Active Directory assigned policies are preferred over your local security policies that are configured on your local machine. And that's it to applying IP security policies through GPOs. Thanks for listening, and take care.